Welcome to Epic Begins with One Step Forward. I'm your host, Zander Sprague, and I am so excited that you're here with me today. I wanted to start off with this thought. It is absolutely possible to turn loss into legacy, and grief can grow into something beautiful. As a lot of you know, 29 years ago, my older sister Lucy was murdered. And that in and of itself was horrible. But my family has turned that into a wonderful legacy. We have a scholarship that we give to a graduating attorney from University of Illinois, Chicago Law School, going into public service, because that's something Lucy wanted to do. And we are about to award the 32nd scholarship in Lucy's memory. And all of the previous recipients have been doing such great work. And I can tell you personally that it feels so much better to celebrate Lucy's life than just focus on the dot that is the end of her life. So if you're experiencing loss, find one way to honor someone that you've lost. Now, I've got an exciting update for you. There is a new book coming out. I have a new book called Epic Reset, 4 Simple Steps to Your Epic Life. So if you've made that decision that you really want to make a change, but you're just not sure how to do it, you find yourself in the same patterns again and again, this is going to be the book for you. It will be coming out later this year, and I will be sharing more about it as I'm editing it and it comes closer to coming out. So just stay tuned. Today, I'm so excited to have a just unbelievable guest, Anya Gupta. I want to welcome you to the show. Please tell us who you are and what you do.
Thank you so much, Zander. I really appreciate the introduction. So my name is Anya Gupta, and I'm a student at Diablo Valley College. I'm someone very passionate about mental health advocacy work. And since we started off sort of on the turning loss into legacy note, I want to share something pretty personal that happened to me during the pandemic.
Sure.
I lost one of my best friends to suicide, which stemmed from mental health struggles. And my way of turning that loss into a legacy was through mental health advocacy work. So I got involved locally. I joined the Contra Costa County Behavioral Health Board, and I'm involved in BART, the Bay Area Rapid Transit, Bay Area's transit system. And I'm really passionate about advocating specifically for early intervention, which is, specifically fixing issues or just identifying them first before they escalate and turn into something big that, it could have been prevented.
Absolutely. And obviously as a mental health professional, I fully support what you're doing because I think it is so important. And talking about the issues that we're facing and the challenges that we have. It's great that mental health is a little less stigmatized, but certainly in adolescence, it is very hard. Just part of being an adolescent is really an all or nothing kind of outlook, that it's either everything's excellent or it's not. And obviously there's a lot of gray in between. So, and I'm so sorry for the loss of your friend. That's never easy. And especially when you're like, I could have helped. Talk a little about your mental health advocacy work.
Ooh, okay. So first, when I, experienced that loss and I was like, I know I want to get involved, but I'm not sure how. I started to just ask a lot of people in the area, first of all, like, what does mental health even mean to you? And then that's when I realized that, wow, just like you said, there's so much stigma around mental health, especially in young people, right? So my first thing was just like, first of all, why is there stigma? I realized a lot of it comes with, different cultures. Some people don't even believe mental health is a thing,
Yeah.
I'm sure you can relate, as a professional in this field, you're like, I know exactly what you're talking about. But yeah, so like, I first of all just realized that, like, okay, the problem is that there's stigma around mental health because of XYZ issues. So then I was like, how can I contribute to like helping advocate for these, because no issues can be fixed without raising awareness for them first, right? Yeah, so I just first of all started to get involved with local organizations. Do you know Rossmore, the Senior Citizen Center? Yeah, so I started at Rossmore. I went to a few clubs there. I asked a few like senior citizens, what's your perspective on mental health? And then I took what they learned and, everything that, like their perspective, everything they've had experience with. And I started to educate young people on it through like presentations in the area, through joining local community organizations. And then I was selected for the Contra Costa County Behavioral Health Board, which was exciting because over there now we get to make decisions that affect more than 242,000 youth and young people just in Contra Costa County.
Wow.
Like, it's crazy. And then that's just the young people, At the end of the day, every behavioral health policy that is passed affects every single person in the county. And that's like, do you know how many people are in this county?
I don't, but I'm sure you do.
Honestly, I don't know either, but I'm sure it's a big number, just 200,000 young people. And I'm sure it's like millions and millions.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So then over there now, what we've been doing is sort of going through a lot of different things that the organizations in the area are doing. Contra Costa Health is doing some amazing things. They recently got a new CEO. I believe his name is Grant. And we're just learning a lot about the different things that are going on. And then the behavioral health director, I believe of the county, Suzanne Tavano, she comes in and she gives presentations about basically where we're going with mental health. So
absolutely. Now, what are some of the, you mentioned that you're, some policies and stuff to help over 200,000 youth. What are some of those, programs or policies that you've helped to see?
I don't remember the specific name, but one of them was very much focused towards preventative care, as we were talking about. And it was a program where you go to the different schools in the area, the different colleges, and you educate students on it through it was like this interactive program where they get credits in order to learn more about like mental health and early intervention. And it was a program that was directly affiliated with the county, which was like really interesting. That's not really a direct policy, but I would say that was really impactful.
Well, definitely. And obviously what you're trying to do is have education for the youth of Contra Costa to understand and start to talk about mental health. You're right. One of the things you mentioned, and I know this through the internship I did, I was in a middle school and high school based, and depending on your culture, sometimes mental health is just like, we just don't talk about that. That's like just not talked about. That could be really sad. I know I had clients that were, some of their culture was they don't talk about it, and I'm having to get their parents to sign a permission form for their son or daughter to come get counseling because, they had anxiety or they had depression and they really needed it. And I'm on the phone trying to explain to people who just won't even acknowledge. It's not that they don't understand. It's just we can't admit that there's mental health issues. It's taboo, which is really sad because oftentimes that's a huge contributing factor. There's shame. I can't tell people that I don't feel well. So
100%. Yeah, I think that's so important. And I really like how, you put it. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that also. That's incredible. I think so many families, especially related to specific cultures that, that not necessarily don't support just mental health and awareness for mental health. It's just that they don't really know too much about it. And the reason as a result of that, I feel like a lot of people just they just ignore the issues and pretend they don't exist when they do exist, but it's just ignoring them is not going to solve them.
Yeah.
It just pushes them away. But at some point there is going to be some sort of causation, there's going to be some effect of it,
Absolutely. And it's always really sad when help could have been available.
Yeah.
People either don't know that they can ask for help. They feel that if they ask for help, they're somehow less than. and you're not. We all, look, as a mental health practitioner, I say we all get stuck from time to time, and we can try and fix it ourselves, but sometimes we can't. And the same way that there doesn't seem to be a lot of stigma around, if all of a sudden you notice that it's harder for you to see, the street signs as you're driving, and you notice you're not seeing as well, there's no stigma. You go to an eye doctor. Eye doctor goes, yes, I can help you. Well, and then that's a temporary thing. You go in, you get your glasses, now you can see. You're done seeing the eye doctor for a year.
I love that.
But mental health is, people are stuck. I help them get unstuck. Then they go on with the rest of their life. Maybe they come back to therapy, but I think one of the big things I want to sort of dispel is therapy most times is a temporary thing. You see a therapist, you work through whatever issue or issues you think you're working, and then the therapist or you will decide, or you mutually decide, hey, I think you're doing okay, Anya. We're going to end our sessions. Look, maybe you have to come back later on. There are some people that just do have issues that require more help. The same way that there are medical conditions, let's take diabetes, that you do have to continue to see a doctor. Even though you're managing it, it just is part of what you now have to do. You see a mental health professional, they help you out, and then you move on with your life. You now have more tools to help you figure out going forward how to deal with your anxiety or your depression.
I love that. Like, mental health is not something that's just like, fixed once and then it's like now you're good for the rest of your life. No, it's like it's an ongoing, it's help. Like, physical health and mental health are equals. And I think so many people do not realize that. Like, we have a doctor for, physical health, and it's like you go to the doctor every now and then when you get medical issues, even just for a checkup. Why don't we have the same standard for mental health?
Absolutely. And I'm happy that, there's less stigma around it, but there needs to be a lot less stigma about this. And the fact of the matter is, like any profession, we have to have a diagnosis, but that is not all that you are, right? We can all, I think both of us would admit there are times where we've had anxiety. Could be for a test, it could be a relationship, it could just be life in general, could be for a loss, but it doesn't last forever. You're like, okay, I'm not feeling anxious anymore. I'm not feeling nervous anymore.
It's temporary. All of it's temporary. Right. Yeah. And it's like how you heal and how you decide to act upon the struggle you faced is what teaches you, and those skills or whatever it is that you learn from that is what you apply in the future. And now you're a better, more improved version of yourself,
Absolutely. Well, like anything, we get tools. I give people tools that they can use themselves, because ultimately you know what's best for you. The most challenging part of mental health is I can't see into your brains. I can't hear your thoughts. Unlike a neurologist who can use a machine and physically look at your brain and see if there's what's going on, or a orthopedist can take an x-ray of your arm and see how the bone is, right? Mm-hmm. I can't do that. None of us can do that. We can only listen and take our knowledge and help apply it to you. But those tools are so important, because the fact of the matter is, every day there are little micro things that happen in our day that require us to do stuff, but we get tools and go, oh, I know how to deal with that. Or if you have anxiety or something, oh, I notice where that feeling is, I'm starting to get anxious. What can I do to help either stop that, or at least reduce how long and how severe that anxiety, and I don't want to call it attack, but that anxiety period is.
Yeah. 100%.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, the same way that if you, as a child, you learn that, oh, that feeling is I'm hungry, and if I eat some food, the hungry goes away.
Yes. Exactly. And it's like, okay, I might be stretching this too much, but it's like, see, like a little kid thinks they're hungry, you know, and then they're like, okay, food is what I need to have. And it's like, sometimes it's like, if you feel something and you're like this is what you're used to doing because of XYZ. And it's like, sometimes you need to realize that the thing that you're doing as a habit of the specific feeling or, you know, thing that you're experiencing might not be so healthy for you. Like, I mean,
Absolutely.
substance use is a perfect example of that, you know,
Yep.
like someone gets really stressed, they have alcohol. It's like,
Right.
no, then it's like, you know, you need to figure out like, how do you address the struggles that you're facing, and how do you say like, okay, I need to be able to understand that there are different ways to cope with whatever I'm feeling.
Perhaps what you need is an epic reset.
An epic reset, epic keyword.
But yeah, that's part of what I talk about in the book, and what epic stands for is, what is that emotional trigger?
Yes.
You know, pause it so that you allow and interrupt what's going on, because we have patterns. As human beings, we get used to doing stuff certain ways, and that's just the way that we do it. There's comfort in that. There's a deep psychological reason. When you drive to DVC, you probably drive the same way because that's how you know how to get there.
Yeah.
Even though you're aware that there may be different ways for you to get there, you don't often entertain that because you're like, oh, here's how I go.
Just one way.
And then it's only when you're forced to have to change that, okay, there's the interrupt.
Ooh, yeah.
Right? And you make a new choice. Oh, let me choose to go this way. All of a sudden, you're like, oh, hey, there's multiple ways I can do this. So if traffic is bad over here, I know I can go this way. But we are creatures of habit. That's totally fine.
I love that, yeah. And like, that's so true. Like, naturally, we are creatures of habit, exactly as you just said. You know, like, we will do what we are used to. We will do what we know. I remember seeing something about how it's like humans just do what they're familiar with. Like, we are people that, you know, like, we see something familiar and we will always prefer that because it's like safer.
There's safety in there. And it goes back to, honestly, a incredibly basic human, like, primal thing,
Survival
which is
mechanism.
Safe or dangerous.
Yes.
The unknown is dangerous. I don't know that. Change is hard because it takes us out of what we know until it becomes what our new normal is. And that's why it takes 21 days to get a new habit. Why? Because you have to just keep doing it. You have to get used to it. You have to build the tools of how do I make this change. So you were talking about people who might self-medicate with alcohol, right? And if it becomes a problem, they become an alcoholic, they have to learn a new trait. That's why programs are often 28 days to try and give you enough time to create new habits that are healthier. But like anything, we're not always successful, and we fail. And that's okay. You know, I think we're all so afraid of not showing that we've failed at something. Social media is a great place where everyone's best life is on display.
Don't get me started on social media.
No, I know. But the fact of the matter is, yes, I do want to put up a good picture. I do want to show the good things that are going on. But occasionally I'll put something up and go, yeah, this wasn't a good day, you know. My car got rear-ended. It wasn't a good day. Why? Because I want to show, yeah, there is some bad in my day. There is, it's not just all, you know, sunshine and unicorns.
Yeah, exactly. Like, people only post the best things. Like, no one's going to post a bad picture of them in like a bad angle. And then when they post their best picture, it's like human nature for someone else to look at it and go like, oh, wait, they're so much prettier than me. It's like, no, they just took a better picture. Like, you can take a better picture. You'll be just as gorgeous, I promise.
And you have no idea how long they worked on, smoothing the picture out and stuff.
And editing it too, you know, Photoshop, all of these things exist. And now, like, artificial intelligence, so many different things, like all of these different like softwares, they can change your appearance completely and make it something that someone else out there is just looking at like, wow, how gorgeous are you, you know? And sorry, I just want to say one more thing. Also, as you were saying about like, people are afraid of failure. Like, they're afraid of failing, which is like, it's okay to make a mistake, it's okay to fail. And I think like, kind of like you were saying, it's like, if people didn't look at it like as intimidating as it is, okay, wait, let me reword that. If people weren't as intimidated by failure because it's really not as big as people think it is, then they would be more comfortable and open to putting themselves out of their comfort zone and being okay with change.
But here's the thing, Anya, okay? I'll ask you a simple question. Did you have all the answers to all the questions that you were going to get today? Absolutely not. No, none of us do. And yet, it didn't stop you from starting your day. And so, sometimes I'm baffled when I talk to people about their epic journeys and the epic dreams that they have, and like, but I don't have it all figured out. And I'm like, so? I certainly don't have it all figured out, and yet I still want to take steps forward. That's how I got this TV show. I didn't know how it was going to go, but I'm like, let me do some research. It's not just go off without knowing, but there's a huge amount of this that I don't know how it's going to go, but it doesn't stop me from still doing this. I think, look, no one wants to fail. The fact of the matter is failure is part of the journey. We learn so much more when we try something and it doesn't work. Then if it just worked, then you're like, oh, well, that wasn't hard, right?
100%.
Let's go back to something that we all have to. Remember when you first started to learn how to write? There was a whole lot of effort about how to make an A, a B, a C, etc. Do you think much about how to make an A anymore?
Absolutely not. No.
Why? Because you have the tools, you have the muscle memory, you have all of that lets you do that. So, it is interesting. And depending on, your family, sometimes failure is like, oh, you can't fail, right? I had an experience quite a few times where parents called up and said that their child needed counseling because they were failing. And one of the first things I learned when I started my internship was my supervisor said, make sure that you ask what failing is, because for me, failing means you're getting an F. You have like below a 60 average. I had parents who called and said, my child is failing. And I'm like, okay, well, what's failing? My child was number 2 in their class. That's not failing. In maybe for you it is, but like in terms of getting a slot in to have my time, there are students who have a lot bigger issues who truly are failing, by the definition of academia that says you have a 59 or lower, So sometimes our own definitions, our family's definition of what failing is, and then you're like, but okay, you're not gonna hit 100% all the time. You're not. Mm-hmm. Do you know baseball, Annie?
A little bit.
A little bit. All right. So in baseball, you make it into the Hall of Fame if you have a batting average of over 300. Okay. Now that's amazing over a baseball career. But that basically means that 2/3 of the time you were not successful when you went up to bat. You did not get a hit. You got an out, you got a strikeout, you got a walk. So imagine in your day you got 9 hours of between school and family and stuff like that. And for you to have a Hall of Fame day, you only get 3 hours of that right.
Wow.
Does that seem like a really high bar for you to have to get over?
Maybe.
Maybe 3 hours. You mean 6 hours could be? You could mess up 6 hours of your day, and still be like, no, Hall of Fame day. It was a great day.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, to me, it doesn't seem like a really hard thing. If I have 9 hours and I only got to get 3 hours of those right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess so. It's worth it.
Or 3.5 hours. Let's give us 333. 3.5 hours. I gotta.
Yeah.
Today, I did the interviews for my show. It's a Hall of Fame day. I got it right. I could mess
That's
up.
amazing. Yeah.
I could mess up other things. So.
Yeah. I like that perspective. That's a really nice perspective. Thank you for sharing.
No problem.
I'm just like, I'm not like, I'm making it sound like I don't like it, but I'm just like shocked. Like that's a really interesting perspective. Yeah.
Well, I'm all about trying to let's put it into realistic things, right? Because we're all unrealistic, especially with ourselves, about what our expectations are, what other people are expecting of us, etc. And often, if we ask, "Hey, what is your expectation?" Right? I know when I was in school, geometry was really hard, and I wasn't doing really well in it. And my dad had always done really well in school. And I'm like, "You're so disappointed, I'm not doing well." And he's like, "Are you working your hardest?" I'm like, I don't know how I could work harder. I'm doing tutoring, I'm trying so hard. And he goes, "That's all I want. That's all I expect. If the best you have in this class is a C+, I'm fine with that."
I love that. It's like, it's so important just to be able to do your absolute best. And I think that's amazing, that your father, like, he just says that, try your best. Like, I think those are like the best kind of parents. Like, I'm lucky to have like a dad like that as well. It's like, just do your absolute best. If you think you're doing good, then like, if you really think that you're pushing yourself to do the absolute best that you can, then you can't possibly want more.
Absolutely. And again, sometimes our best is a C+. It's not the A. Because you're like, and my dad said, look, there are subjects that you're going to take that you're just going to work so hard, and your best is, a B or a C+. That's all your mother and I want.
I heard this thing. It's very similar to what you're saying. It was like, if you have 100% in a date, then you give 100%, then that's incredible. But if you only have 59% of like energy, let's say, and you're giving 59%, then yes, that's maybe a D, but that's still 59%. That's 100% of what you have.
Absolutely.
That's giving all you got. Like.
Absolutely. So Anya, how can people find out more about the work that you're doing?
Ooh.
If there are people listening and like, ooh, I want to know more about the Contra Costa mental health, where can they find that info?
Okay, so if anyone is interested in attending one of the behavioral health board meetings of Contra Costa County, it's on the county website. If you just look up like Contra Costa County Behavioral Health Board, our meetings are monthly, I believe on the first Wednesdays every month, 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. And then, and then BART, Bay Area Rapid Transit, has Transit Security Advisory Committee meetings, I believe on the second or fourth Tuesdays. But if you look up TSAC, T-S-A-C, then you can also find information about that. And our meetings are always like immensely informative, and we cover a lot of different topics. And it's always great to have, input from BART writers and just like anyone in the county really interested in this stuff. It's like, even if you don't know about mental health much, it's like, there's always more to learn. And it's like, I promise it would be worth your time.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming in. What a great conversation.
It was amazing speaking with you, Zander, as it always is.
Oh, thank you so much. I want to remind everyone that if you're ready to begin your epic journey, go to epicbegins.com. And as always, remember, epic choices lead to the epic life that you want.